current configuration I have, I cannot work with. I cannot, in good conscience, say that we are ready to handle this.
The point of no return. With fewer than 40 days before the start of the Republican National Convention in Jacksonville, Sheriff Mike Williams says today he does not feel as if his department has the resources or the manpower to keep the city safe. It is a significant move, the sheriff calling members of the media to JSO headquarters today, saying he cannot support the current plan. The RNC is set to be in Jacksonville in late August, and in recent developments may expand to some outdoor areas instead of just the ViStar Memorial Union. First Coast News anchor Heather Crawford was at this press conference today. It was quite the surprise. She's joining us live with this developing story. Heather?
That's right, Jenny. I have to tell you, this announcement from the sheriff really came as a shock to all of us who were there for that press conference this morning. You know, we have heard concerns raised about the timetable, the short timetable of the RNC coming to Jacksonville. It's just 35 days away. But to hear public safety concerns directly from the head of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, that really is a monumental moment. Now, the sheriff says that every effort has been made and countless hours spent to meet the mission to keep our city safe. And at this point, Sheriff Williams says he's just not confident that the event can be carried out safely as the plan stands right now. He says there's a growing list of challenges that includes financial challenges, communication challenges, and the short timeline. And the sheriff says he has not signed a single contract yet, and he just does not have the resources that he needs.
Yeah, listen, I can't predict the future. I can say this, though. As it stands here today, we can't support the plan moving forward as is. And again, there may be another plan come up tomorrow. We may not be able to support that either. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But I do know this. Any plan requires resources and finances, and I don't have what I need at this point.
Now, the sheriff noted that he cannot on his own cancel the RNC, but he said he felt compelled to relay his concerns to the community who he is sworn in to serve to protect. Now, we reached out to the mayor's office. He and his chief of staff sent us a statement this morning. That statement says in part that over the next few days, we will continue to meet with Sheriff Mike Williams and his team on how to prioritize public safety related to this event. Now, no formal response yet from President Trump or from the president or the White House. We're going to continue reaching out to our sources. As for what happens next, well, that remains to be seen. We'll have more from Sheriff Mike Williams coming up tonight on First Coast News at 7. Jeannie?
Heather, thank you so much. Now, the spokesperson for the RNC says it is in the process of allocating millions of dollars in a safety grant. In a statement, it says Jacksonville has accommodated upwards of 70,000 people for football games and other events. And we are confident in state, local, and federal officials to be able to ensure a safe event for our attendees.